Hey bro, I hope you're doing good. I certainly am. I had a very, very productive, let's say, not only week, but the last two to 3 weeks have been very productive because I set everything up in that way so that I can just manage a lot of stuff throughout the day. And because I have to do a lot right now, a lot of things for university, not much spare time, but I'm still going to the gym pretty much every day. I'm still reading pretty much every day, meditating, doing yoga every day. It's just about how you structure your day. So very, very productive last couple of weeks. And whilst being so productive, a very, very interesting thought came to my mind, and I've been thinking about this for quite some while now, and I thought, man, this is so important, so interesting, and so simple again. I have to share it with you. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So the thought experiment. Before we dive into it, I just want to tell you the title again. I know you can read the title, but again, just so that you have it present in your mind as we go through this. It's very simple. Failure is no defeat. Now, I study history, and by studying history, of course, you learn a lot about history, about the things that have happened in the past, and I always was a firm believer of the fact that you can learn a lot from history about now, about present times. And this failure is no defeat is a very, very important lesson of history. And I want to get into it by just giving you a very simple to understand, clear example of something that actually happened. So what I want to do is I want to go back in time to the Second World War. We're talking especially of the year 1941 to 1942, something like that. So 1941, especially that. What happens there? Well, first of all, Germany by then is the undisputed, undefeated ruler of all of Europe. They have conquered France, they have conquered Poland, they have conquered Denmark, they have conquered Norway, they have conquered Netherlands, Belgium, they have conquered the entire Balkans region. So they have pretty much subdued all of Europe. Italy is an ally and France is neutral. The only thing that they have not managed to do is conquer Britain. But by that point in time, pretty much everyone thought that it's only a matter of when, not if, Germany is going to win the war. So what happened? What did the Germans do which was even more outrageous than anything that they had done before? Very simple, they attacked Russia. And it didn't go well for the Russians. The first year of this war, of the war against the Russians, right, 1941 to 1942, was tremendous. The Germans, simply put, steamrolled their way through Russia. There was nothing that could stand in their way. No general, no army, nothing. The Russians were constantly on the back foot. They were always only being defeated. The Germans just ran over the Russian defenses. And we are talking of regions as big as all of the territories that Germany had conquered till that point. So they basically, doubled their territory in a matter of literal months. So, so this is what's happening, right? Germany, by then, pretty much undefeated on the European continent, invades Russia, and they wipe the floor with the Russians. It's so hard. I mean, I'm not making anything up here, right? This is pure facts. The Russians, in this first phase of the war, lost millions of soldiers. Millions of soldiers, core Russian territories, and incredibly important cities. The most important city that they lost back then was Kiev. Now, Kiev was an absolute integral part of the Russian historical ethos. The entire history of Russia, of the Russian peoples, was based around Kiev, and then from Kiev onwards it spread to Moscow and then to St. Petersburg. But we have to keep in mind that Kiev was without a doubt one of the three most important, let's say, holiest cities in all of Russia. Now, of course, nowadays Kiev no longer is part of Russia, and I'm by no means taking a pro-Russian stance here or anything. I'm just talking facts. Kiev was part of the Soviet Union back then, and it was one of the most important cities in all of Russia. Kiev was taken by the Germans. The Russians lost 700,000 men trying to defeat Kiev. One of the three most important cities in Russian history was conquered by the German invader. The second most important city of Russia, St. Petersburg, back then known as Leningrad, was under siege. So it was also a matter of when, not if, Germany would take Leningrad. At least that's what people thought back then. And last but not least, the capital, Moscow, was under threat of siege. They were not that close yet, but they were close enough to threat the capital. So in essence, the Russians lost everything. They lost on such a big scale that back then, if the Russians would have given up, everyone would have understood. It's easy to understand, right? It's not hard to get yourself into the mind of people back then that when the most important places of your country are either occupied, besieged, or under threat of siege, your armies are being crushed, the Germans are constantly advancing, and there seems no way of holding them back. Of course you think that you're going to lose the war. Of course it's absolutely normal that people would think that Russia was going to lose the war. But everything came different. Germany lost the war, and Russia, even after countless numbers of defeats, won the war. The Russians won the war. The Russians claimed victory together with the other allies, and they defeated Nazi Germany. Now, what does that teach us? Very simple. Losing a battle does not mean that you lose the war. Now, why do I bring this up? Why is this important? Why do I want to share it with you? It's very simple. We are in a constant war against ourselves in terms of trying to get better, improving ourselves. And let's face it, it's just not easy. That's why I use the term war, because we actually have to fight ourselves sometimes in ourselves in order to not indulge in bad activities, to not procrastinate, and so on, right? So, and I think every one of us, everyone who tries to improve himself, knows exactly how hard it can be at sometimes. And that's just how it is, right? And there's one thing that we have to realize. We cannot and we will not win every single day. We cannot and we will not be able to tick every box every single day. We cannot and will not be able to win for months on end. There will be times, there will be days, there will be moments in which we fail. It's just part of the thing. It's part of improving ourselves. That's just what we do. We fail and fail and fail and fail until we then start to improve. And that's normal, and we have to accept this as a fact. There will be times in which you will feel so bad that you think of quitting. But here comes the thing. The Russians didn't quit. And it's pretty fair to argue that the Russian situation was way more desperate than yours or mine in terms of self-improving. I mean, the Russians were in a struggle for life. They were in for life, the survival of their nation, of their history, of their people. They were fighting for their lives. We, of course, in some way or another, are also in a fight for our life, but it's definitely not as desperate as the Russian situation back in 1941, 1942. But the Russians didn't give up. The Russians kept going. They kept pushing. They kept going and going and going. And they went from failure, from defeat to defeat to defeat to victory. to victory, to victory, to victory, to victory, to victory. And this is what history can teach us. It is that as long as we don't stop, we can fail as many times as we want. It does not matter in the long term. Doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that we do not stop. Because we have to keep in mind, we are not doing this self-improvement thing for a week. We're not trying this for a month, not even for a year, and not for a decade. We are literally going to do this for the rest of our life. And therefore, we have to realize that it doesn't matter if you fail for a year, if you just don't succeed at anything in your self-improvement journey for, I don't know, a year, let's even 5 years. If you keep going, if you don't stop, if you don't stop striving towards getting better, then in the end, you and I, we will see success. And the further we go on this path, we will rack up more and more victories. Of course, there will be defeats throughout the way, but I'm absolutely certain that we will get better over time, and it will just get more, let's just say it's going to get easier for us to keep going, to keep pushing. Although it's going to be hard, although it's going to be difficult, although we are going to fail, we are going to get better. And we are going to persevere, and we are going to push through. So next time that you think that you fucked up, next time that you feel like quitting self-improvement, next time that you feel like, oh man, I had a shitty day, didn't do anything, didn't tick any boxes, keep the Russian situation in mind. Think of what they must have felt in 1941 and 1942. And remember who won the war. It was the Russians. So this is basically it, guys. This is the message of this video. I hope this reaches you in good spirits. I hope you understand what I'm trying to bring across. It's not that hard, but I still think it's very important to just address it and to give you an example so that you can think of it in different terms. So again, failure is no defeat. You do not lose the war by losing a battle. As long as you keep going, you will win. That's it, guys. I hope, again, you get what I'm trying to bring across, and I wish you a pleasant time. Catch you in the next one. Bye.